What's up, creepers? Welcome to Phin and Bryn's Spoops.
I'm Bryn.
And I'm Phin.
And welcome to day 12 of our 31 days of Halloween movie reviews.
Still have 19 days.
This is our second Classic Movie Monday. Yeah.
Did we do the last one on Monday?
Yeah, we did.
Huh.
This is our second Classic Movie Monday. What movie did we review for our Classic Movie this week?
Halloween.
1978's Halloween, directed by... Seriously?
What? That came out
John Carpenter. You should know this.
Why would I know this?
Because John Carpenter is one of the biggest horror movie directors of all time.
Terrible names, and you know it.
Anyways, this is the movie that launched Jamie Lee Curtis's career. She was in, I think Midnight Train before this one. I think it was called that, something like that. Murder Train? I don't know what it was. But obviously it didn't launch her as much as it did Halloween because I can't even remember the name of it. Her mom played Marion Crane in Psycho with Alfred Hitchcock. She's the one that dies in the shower. And she has to carry on a very, very serious legacy of being a scream queen. And she rocks it as Laurie Strode in this movie. So, IMDb gives it 7.8. Really, IMDb? This is a classic. So, what do you give it?
5 skulls.
5 skulls.
5 skulls.
My 5 skulls.
I'm not gonna rock the skulls. That's too hard to animate.
I give it 5 skulls because it's a classic. It started off a whole genre of movies just like this one. It also doesn't abide by perfect rules because there was no, what did I say before? What was the word I used? Frame of reference. There was no frame of reference. So a lot of the rules that apply to most slasher movies do not apply to Halloween. The splitting up part. Yes, they do die split up, but they don't have a frame of reference to be afraid. They have no idea anything is hunting them through the entire movie until Laurie discovers bodies. And that is very unique to this movie.
So yeah.
Right. It happened also in Friday the 13th. Same way. So one or the other. Both of those movies did launch an entire generation of really amazing slasher movies. Right? Right. I mean, when you think of slasher movies, who do you think of?
Jason. Well, I usually don't think of.
Who else?
A Jason. You're putting this fall out. Freddy Krueger. Come on. You're murdering me. I usually can. Yeah, I know it's Leatherface. You're killing. I can name them usually. I just can't do it when you're just like putting me in the spotlight.
Michael Myers.
I don't think of Michael Myers that much. I really don't.
Scandalo.
I really don't. Like I had no appreciation for Halloween until I watched it.
Until you watched this, and now you have a huge appreciation for Halloween. Yes.
I feel like I want to watch it again just because to look at how they did stuff because I'm probably going to start with low budget.
If you've never seen Halloween, I need you to go right now and go watch it. It's on AMC Plus right now. And
do it.
And then I want you to come back here because I'm going to break the whole movie down. Just boom, 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 scene by scene because I love Halloween.
Do it.
So you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get out of here. Come back when you want spoilers.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Or thanks for staying.
Or thanks for staying because most of you have seen Halloween.
I mean, it's a classic.
It is a classic.
It's a classic.
It's a classic.
It's a classic.
All right, so let's break it down scene by scene. 1963 starts off on Halloween with Judith Myers and her boyfriend making out on the couch, and somebody's watching them. Turns out to be little 6-year-old Michael Myers in his little clown suit. We do get a titty flash right in the beginning of this movie because he goes upstairs and after her boyfriend is done and leaves. He goes upstairs to her bedroom. She's brushing her hair. She's got her boobies out. He starts stabbing her in the boobies, and then he walks outside when their parents pull up, and he's just got a knife in his hand and a blank expression on his face. What did you think of that blank expression, Phin?
I don't know, man.
Was it creepy?
Yeah.
Do you think he belonged in a mental hospital?
Yeah.
So skip forward 15 years to 1978. And we are introduced to Dr. Loomis. He is in the car with his nurse, because I don't know, she was driving. That's kind of cool. Women's rights. And
Was there something in the 70s I don't know about?
some men don't like it when women drive. So anyways, Michael they are showing up to the, I don't even remember why, they're showing up to the mental hospital that
Maybe they got a call or something.
Jason has been living in for the past 15 years. Makes him only 21, people.
Do you just say Jason?
21. Oh, I meant Michael, sorry.
Sorry, I did. Sorry, I corrected you.
Sorry, and you always correct me, so I always have that right there.
Sorry.
So Michael is only 21 at this point in the story. When they pull up to the insane asylum, that is a terrible term, the mental hospital, there are patients out and wandering around the grounds, and
It looked like a graveyard there wandering around.
No, it's just the grounds. Dr. Loomis does not think this bodes well, so he gets out to go and figure out what's going on. The nurse is in the car. Something jumps on the top of her car.
You know, you can see it was someone.
A person.
Yeah.
Jumps on the roof of her car, and she rolls down the window to see what the hell's up.
Because that's what you do, obviously. You're not like, what's going on? No, you open your window.
Random nurse from a mental hospital, please don't open your window when you see escaped mental health patients running around. So
And something's on your roof.
tries to grab her and tries to choke her. She doesn't die, does she?
No.
No, she gets out. She does. She gets out, and he steals her car because somehow he has learned how to drive, even though he's been in the mental hospital since he was 6 years old.
Oh, I think they addressed that later. Someone around must have gave him lessons.
No, nobody could have given him lessons.
I don't know,
He's
they-
locked up. I'm not kidding though. He is locked up like Hannibal Lecter.
when they escaped. I don't know. They said something about that
No, they
later.
addressed it because later on the cop says, "How did he learn how?" And they're like, "I don't know." And I'm just like, "How did he learn how to drive?" Because Dr. Loomis
I mean,
goes,
I could probably figure out how to
the
drive.
only thing that Dr. Loomis says is, "Well, he was doing pretty well from where I stood."
I
So
feel like
Dr. Loomis watches as the car leaves, and he's like, "Oh, crap."
oh boy. But I think I could figure out how to drive.
Oh, do
If
you
it was like the
now?
zombie apocalypse, I don't know, just meow.
He's driving pretty good by the time he gets to Haddonfield. So he returns to the scene of the crime, apparently, because now we are back in Haddonfield and we meet Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee
Boom,
Curtis.
boom.
She is walking home with her little charge. She's a babysitter, and her charge is Tommy. You're getting farther and farther from me.
No, I'm just adjusting my legs. And I need to be on the side, otherwise light in my face.
Okay, so she is walking home with her charge, Tommy, talking about Halloween, because it is Halloween again. It's a 15-year anniversary of when he killed his sister, so on Halloween. We cut, I think she's walking
is
into school,
Halloween.
not sure,
This
because then it
is
shows her. I wish she would not sing that song for my movie, because it doesn't go in my movie.
I don't care.
It's like, doesn't fit.
I know, it's still Halloween though, and every
I
time I
am
think
not-
Halloween, I think of that
I'm
Halloween.
not a Nightmare Before Christmas fan. I know people are going to hate me for it. I'm not a Nightmare Before Christmas fan.
And I am.
Anyways.
I mean, literally, look at my shirt. I just realized.
Can we continue on with the movie before this becomes another 40-minute video?
Nah.
Okay, so we see Laurie in English class, and I think she sees him standing outside the window. But while he's standing outside the window, you hear her English teacher talking about fate. Fate personified. Fate is like an immovable mountain, and that is a definite theme throughout the whole movie. Is fate. Laurie's fate, Michael's fate, and how they are intertwined. Some bullies tease Tommy as he's walking home, and he's got a big pumpkin, and they're teasing him about him being a big baby on Halloween because they're jerks. And Tommy drops his pumpkin, and then what happens?
Oh, and then it shows Michael Myers watching them, and then one of the bully kids goes,
Runs into him.
yeah, and he grabs him, and they lets him go, and that's a lucky kid.
That kid has no idea how lucky he is.
He just sees it on the TV, that Michael Myers, and he just got. Oh wait, they wouldn't because
No, they wouldn't.
yeah, he left at the end.
Okay, so Where are we? Oh, so we also see, so Michael lets him go, and then we see Lori walking home with her two besties, Annie and Linda.
Besties.
Linda is PJ Souls. She got hired right off of Carrie, and she was hired because, I'm gonna just drop it right here, John Carpenter liked her slutty vibe, so he kept it up in this movie. So he wanted a girl who enjoyed her sex in this movie, and she does. She really does. Linda loves it. So, and Annie is the smartass friend, and I love Annie so much. So,
Which doesn't end well.
I love Annie.
You can't put spoilers, you get spoilers.
Michael creeps around Lori quite a bit. She sees him in the bushes, and then she says, "Oh, I saw somebody," and Annie was like, "I'm gonna go talk to him." And Annie goes to look where Lori said she saw somebody standing, and there's nobody there. So Annie's like, "Oh, Lori, he wants to talk to you. I think he wants to take you to the dance tomorrow night." So Lori goes over there, and Annie's just being a smart-ass bitch. So, because there was nobody there. So, Dr. Loomis, I think he catches up with the cop at this point, and they go, no, he's not. He goes and talks to the gravekeeper, the groundskeeper at the graveyard, and he's checking in on Judith's graves because he's kind of worried that Michael is going to be checking in with his sister. You know, the one who he stabbed in the boobs. And she's dead.
Why are you holding on to that so much?
Because it's hilarious to me. It's just so hilarious. They just needed that boob flash so bad. Whatever. So weird. Loomis discovers that Judith Myers' headstone is missing. Dun dun dun. Annie and Lori, go on.
I was gonna say what I think about that, because they probably couldn't have a grave for her, like specially made, right?
No, because it was there in the bed.
Well, yeah, but that probably like.
So Annie and Lori, they're going to be babysitting tonight on Halloween, and the houses that they're babysitting at are right across the street from each other. So Annie gives Lori a ride over there. What?
Maybe it just wasn't that real, so they put it in the bed in the dark. I just want to be right.
I know you do. Meanwhile, Loomis has shown up and talked to the cops, and he's like, "Yo, you got a problem?"
Starts with an M.
Annie is freaking out because they're smoking weed in her car, and she sees her dad, who is the cop, and he's at the hardware store, which has been broken into, and it's obviously been broken into by Michael, because they mentioned that, some Halloween mask was taken and some tools. I don't remember what exactly.
It was like a rope and something else.
Probably to steal the headstone.
Rope and knife, I thought. Yeah, something like that.
So,
yeah.
And meanwhile, Michael just drives past them while they're sitting there talking to the cop.
The scientist is looking, and then he looks to the side. There's no one there, and he looks forward, and then he starts looking to the side where Michael was, but he drives to the other side. She's like, broom.
So meanwhile, Michael Myers is just fucking driving around Haddonfield.
Dude.
Super weird. So, Loomis and the cop, they check on the Myers house, and there's nobody there. So Lori is at Danny's house, and Annie is across the street babysitting Lindsay at her house, and they're chatting on the phone, and Michael's watching. And Lester, what's Lester doing? Lester, the mean German Shepherd.
Oh, Lester's barking
at Annie. Annie hates this dog. So she makes Lindsay kick Lester outside. So Tommy looks out the window and he sees the boogeyman. And Annie is making popcorn, and she's heating up some butter, and she spills butter all over her clothes. And then what does she do, Finn?
She strips in their kitchen and then puts on just their shirt.
She strips down to her bra and underwear in the kitchen.
No, she didn't even have a bra.
She didn't have a bra on, that's right. She strips down in their kitchen and then puts on Lindsay's dad's shirt, which was like hanging outside of the kitchen for some reason. And I'm like, I have babysat so many times and I have never stripped down in somebody else's house. Never.
Sure.
So she
doesn't even.
while she's stripping down, and Lindsay's kicked Lester the dog out, because it seems like Annie doesn't really care if Lindsay sees her nude. I mean, it's a little girl and she's a girl, so I guess it's okay, but whatever, it was weird. Because I've never seen any of my babysitters naked, and none of my charges have ever seen me naked, so that's just weird to me, but maybe it's a 70s thing.
I don't know, you were born in the 70s.
Yes, I had babysitters when I was in the 70s.
So it's 70s thing, that means.
Michael kills
The dog.
the dog! And my son York was about ready to leave. Your brother was like, I'm out.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention, York watched this with us.
Yes, York did watch this with us.
He's watching Z with us tomorrow.
So, yes. So so Danny and Lori are watching a horror movie fest on the TV, and they are watching
The Thing, the original.
the original 50s The Thing. Why is this significant? Because 3 years later, John Carpenter,
He remade The Thing.
he remakes The Thing. I was very excited. So
He didn't even know, but...
right? Weird. Danny talks about the boogeyman that he keeps seeing outside, and Annie is washing her clothes in a shed that's out in the backyard of Lindsay's house. Michael locks Annie into the shed.
But...
What?
Oh no, that was from...
And Michael locks Annie into the shed. She can't get out of the shed. And she's like yelling for Lindsay, and the phone's ringing, and she's afraid she's going to miss her boyfriend's call. And
trying to climb out the window.
yes, so she tries to get out the window. She's yelling and like crazy. Lindsay, answer the phone. That's Paul. I don't want to miss the phone call. So Lindsay answers the phone. And she's like, Annie's washing her clothes, and she hangs up. And then
Hangs up.
And then Lindsay goes outside. She's like, Paul called, and she's like, I'm locked in. Help! So Lindsay goes into the laundry room, and Annie's hanging out of the window with her panty-clad butt hanging in the air.
Beautiful wording.
And Annie goes, don't you tell anybody about this. So then Lindsay goes back into the house, and the phone rings again, and she picks it up, and she's like, hey, Paul, Annie was stuck in the window with her butt hanging out.
That kid, though.
Ah, children. So,
Best.
Paul and Annie have a very suggestive phone call, because Annie wants some of Paul's pumpkin. And so so Paul says he doesn't have a right to sneak out of his parents' house. So Annie says she'll go get him because she really wants that pumpkin.
No.
And
He snuck out of that.
no, he was going to sneak out of the house when she goes to go pick him up. So that's why she left. Well, she was going to leave. So
Someone asked how about Paul, because they said, wasn't he grounded?
Yeah, he was grounded. So he was going to sneak out of the house and get into Annie's car and then go over to Lindsay's house. Got it? Good.
Yeah, but who asked?
Lori, when she takes Lindsay over to Lori and Danny's.
Okay.
And Lori says, I thought Paul was grounded. And she's like, well, I'm just going to go get him because I need some of that pumpkin. So.
Why? Mother, why have you forsaken me?
So she leaves Lindsay because she's got to get her date on, and she goes back across the street and she realizes she's locked. The car door is locked, and she's going to drive over to Paul's in just a shirt. Beautiful, Annie. I love you so much. So. So she goes back into the house and gets the keys, and then when she comes back in,
she doesn't even use the keys. She just holds it and she just goes, doop.
Yeah, and she opens the door because Michael had gotten into it in between. He probably the passenger side door was probably open.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
But she still just.
yeah, she didn't notice that it wasn't locked when she came back. She didn't notice. she's kind of a ditz.
She didn't even try and use the key.
She gets back into the car and she notices that the windows are all foggy. And then what happens? When the windows are all foggy, Michael jumps up in the back seat and starts strangling her, but it's not working. So he ends up slicing her throat.
He's like, just die already, and he just takes his knife. Except there's no slit on her throat.
Whatever.
Freaking budget.
And he's dead, and I'm pissed. So that's 2 kill counts and a dog count, because we're counting Judith Myers. So Tommy is across the street, and he sees Michael carrying Annie's body back into the house from the garage.
He's like, boogeyman.
He's yelling about the boogeyman, and he's scaring Lindsay, and Lori's like, you need to get your shit together. So she sends. So Loomis sees Tommy's bullies, because he's still hanging out the Myers house, and he sees Tommy's bullies going, I bet you're not going to ring the doorbell. And then they're like teasing each other, and Loomis is like, hey,
go in.
Hey, you better get out of here.
Just behind a bush.
And they like run off.
They're like, ah!
And I believe Loomis saved those children's lives. So
that kid was lucky.
the cop thinks that Loomis. They've been sitting there for a while. Now the cop is like, you know what? This is like a waste of my night, and I'm gonna peace out. So he leaves. Linda and Bob. Remember Linda? She was walking home with them, and she was talking about all the dick she was gonna get on Halloween. So she brings her boyfriend Bob to Lindsay's house where she can get said dick, and he's not there. And
said pumpkin.
So she calls Lori, and Lori's like, oh, she's gonna go get Paul. So
my hair's weird.
So they're like, oh, so she's getting Paul. They don't realize she's dead. So they go upstairs and they bang. And
bang. Boink. They boink.
And then Linda's like, you know what? They're smoking a cigarette after they bang, and Linda's like, you know what? You need to go get me a beer, because she's a bad bitch, PJ Souls. So he goes downstairs to get her a beer. And Michael kills him. Now Michael kills him by holding him up, and then he stabs him.
And he stays there even though the knife's nowhere near that deep.
There's no way that knife went through Bob, and into the cabinet behind him. There was
to hold him up.
There was no.
Even if it did, it wouldn't hold him up.
You know what? I'm gonna put a picture of it right here, because there's no way. So Bob's dead, and so Michael puts on a sheet, and he takes Bob's glasses and he puts them over the sheet, and he goes back upstairs, and Linda's in bed, and she's like, very funny. She's like, you're kind of kinky, but whatever. And then she's like, where's my beer? And then he kills her for that. And
she goes to.
But we do get half. We do get half of a titty flash, because one of her boobs is hanging out of a shirt. So that's 1.5 boob flashes.
That's. Why do you have to keep track?
It's hilarious to me, because it's such a 70s thing. So. So that's body count 4 plus 1 dog.
One question.
Titties 3.
How old is Final Destination?
You mean Final Destination 3? That was in the 2000s, so.
Just that.
Michael strangles Linda with the phone cord, and if that doesn't scream babysitter, I don't know what does, people. So while this is all going on over at Lindsay's house, and Lindsay she's safe. She is with Lori over at Danny's house. The little kids are with Lori at this point, and all of the killing has been taking place at Lindsay's house with none of the kids there. Loomis is still camping the Myers house, waiting for Michael to show up, and he's not going to show up. Lori tucks the kids into bed, and she decides.
Camping. There's something important there.
What?
He sees the car.
Yes, he does see the car that Michael stole.
So he goes and tells the police. So now he has an actual solid.
Yeah. So Lori tucks the kids in, and she decides she's going to go check on Lindsay's house, because nobody's answering the phone, and she doesn't know where Annie is. She doesn't know where Linda is, and she's getting worried. So she decides to go over and check. So she checks the house. It takes her a really long time to go through the house, and I was like getting really impatient, but she finally gets upstairs and finds Annie's body laid out on the bed with Judith Myers' tombstone over her head.
Because why not?
Because why not?
Why not?
And she bumps into Bob, who falls over. His dead body.
He's like in
And
a closet, and it's like
Linda
swaying.
is like shoved into the closet and she's dead, and like Lori does her scream queen thing. Jamie Lee Curtis, she's like freaking out and running
And
around.
then he's there.
She
and
falls over the balcony, like
Oh yeah,
trying to get away from him. He slashes her arm and she tries to get away from him and she falls down the stairs.
I always hate stairs. I hate falling on stairs. I don't know.
And she hurts her ankle, which is important for the next movie. And
I don't know that, but okay, sure.
so she goes next door and she's like pounding on doors, like she's trying to get an adult to help her. Remember, people, she is in high school. So she's knocking on doors and trying to get people to help her, and nobody is coming out because
She's a teenager. It's totally a prank, dude.
So she's locked out of Tommy's house, and Michael is like right behind her, and she's screaming for Tommy to wake up, and he's like, okay.
Well, she has to throw the plant at the window. He's just like, that was a far yeet. She yeets the plant at the wall to wake him up, and then the lights turn on.
Oh, yeah.
That was a nice yeet.
So Tommy comes downstairs, and he's just like all sleepy boy, and he opens the door, and Lori like pulls him over, and she's like, oh my God. She slams the door and locks it, and then she realizes that most of the windows are open in the house.
And Tommy was right.
She grabs the phone to call the police. The phone is dead, of course, and she's having like a little bit of a breakdown. He attacks her from behind the couch because somehow he's gotten into the house.
Through the probably one of the windows.
The windows. And she stabs him with her knitting needle, which I had said, oh man, that's kind of a granny thing. And
she could stab him later.
Because she was knitting. And Loomis is looking for Michael after spotting the car he stole from the hospital. Lori runs upstairs to get the kids to leave because she thinks she has killed him with the knitting needle, and he's coming up the stairs, and the kids are freaking out. She tells them to go lock themselves into their room. And she goes and hides in a closet. He finds her in the closet, and that's the really famous scene that most people see when they think of Halloween, is him trying to get to her in the closet. It's one of those...
So that's where the closet came from, classic hiding in the closet, you know?
Right. It's a louver door closet where it just closes like that, and it's got like the slats in it, and he's just like he knocks the slats out. She grabs a wire hanger and she straightens it out, and she pokes him right in the eye. She gets him good right in the eye.
That's
He
gotta
drops
hurt.
the knife. He goes, ow. Not cool. So she grabs the knife and she stabs him. And here's my problem. She's like, oh, I killed him. She drops the knife.
Right next to his body and just goes and sits down.
And she sits down and she's like, and he gets up from behind her. You see him sitting.
He has some serious, because he has some nice core strength, because he's laying there and he just goes, yoop.
Nice core strength from this one here. And so he sits up, and Loomis is coming running up the stairs because he sees the kids book it out of the house screaming because she tells him to go get a neighbor. And so he comes upstairs to investigate, and he sees Michael coming up from behind her. And she doesn't hear it. Like, I would be hyper aware at this point. And she doesn't hear him coming up behind her, and then shoots him.
Pew, pew, like 6 times.
He shoots him like 6 times, and he falls out the window, and she calms down, and
then and then the doctor, and then she's like, was that the boogeyman? He's like, just happens to be. And then he looks off the balcony.
No, she says, haha, I get to correct you this time. She says, was that the boogeyman? And he says, as a matter of fact, that was.
Thanks, Mom.
And then Loomis looks out the window.
And the balcony, and he's gone.
Michael's gone. And that's the end of the first Halloween movie. Halloween 2 takes place the same night, just about an hour later. So what'd you think?
It takes place an hour later?
Yeah.
That is just like...
She does not get a rest that night, nope.
She was the same Halloween?
Yes. So, what did you think? Did you like it?
Yeah.
Was it all that it was cracked up to be?
I wasn't really cracked up for me. I thought it was gonna be like the worst out of the main slashers. Mm-hmm. Cause when you think of the big slashers, usually I think of Michael Myers last. Or I just don't think of him at all.
Mean.
Just never.
So we're going to break down The Haunting of Bly Manor, episode 3.
Spooky.
So we get the man in the window, who you see in the last one, his backstory. He happens to be Peter Quint, who is Henry, their Uncle Henry's assistant. And Henry is trying to hire a new nanny, au pair. And Rebecca Jessel, who was their previous nanny that killed herself in the lake. They've mentioned it. Well, that's what they've told Danny.
Yeah,
we don't know
and
yet.
us, so.
We still haven't seen all the rest of it. We're only up to episode 3, so don't spoil it, people.
I don't think she killed herself.
So,
Miles killed her. It's just Miles killed her.
So, Quint helps her get the job with Henry Wingrave. And then they show us present time, and Danny finds out that Quint had robbed Henry. He robbed them and he disappeared, and then Miss Rebecca, killed herself. So they think that if he's hanging out around the house, they think that maybe she doesn't know, that maybe he doesn't know that Rebecca's dead. So then we flash back again to Rebecca and Peter flirting in the car on the way to Bly Manor. And then Jamie, the groundskeeper, and Danny, the new au pair. I definitely ship them so hard. Jamie and Danny meet up during their sweeping of grounds because Danny is not impressed with how the cops handled that. And so they're looking for Peter Quint on the grounds, and they think he's looking for Rebecca because they think that he doesn't know she's dead. That's their thoughts on it.
It's just like, Rebecca's dead.
I found a ghost, everybody. There's a flashback to Rebecca and Peter Quint talking in the kitchen during a thunderstorm. And while Rebecca's sitting at the table, you can see the room behind her. And when the lightning strikes and it lights up, you can see a
is it a military soldier kind of person thing?
I freaked out and I rewound it, and I was right.
It's not a scary ghost. And
he's just standing there.
Also, I saw this meme with a plague doctor. So yeah, it's a plague doctor because they have like the same hats. They have the beak, obviously, but then they also have a hat like that. It's definitely a plague doctor.
So, there was a conversation between Jamie and Danny about how some people mix up love and possession, and that's how Jamie saw the relationship between Peter and Rebecca when they lived there. Danny goes to bed after they decide that Peter's not around anymore, and a scary hand reaches for her in the bed because I'm sure she's in the same bed that Rebecca stayed in.
That they boinked in?
Yeah.
Boinked in.
The hand looks all scary and bloody, and it looks like Peter's watch is on it.
Yeah.
Peter is kind of abusive and really possessive of Rebecca. He gets really jealous of her when she talks to Owen the cook. And I really don't like that they're going in this direction because he played Luke, and I loved Luke in Haunting of Hill House.
And he looks great, but he also played, what's his face?
The Invisible Man.
What's his face again in that? Doesn't start with an A or something?
His name is The Invisible Man?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh my god.
Do you want me to look?
There's something else.
Because I have all of my notes that I've been taking. His name in The Invisible Man. I did not write it down. Sorry, dude.
Oh my god, I saw someone had that name on another meme on Pinterest because I'm always on Pinterest for some reason.
Nope.
No, I'm not.
So anyways,
God.
and I'm really bummed because I love him, Oliver Jackson Cohen, and I love him, and I'm really bummed that he keeps getting these mean guy roles, and I don't want him to do that. But I'm really invested in Danny and Jamie getting together. They had a little moment before Jamie left for the night. And Owen's mother died, and that was so sad because he spent one night with them.
I want to talk about the play.
Oh, the play was weird. Go ahead.
So, there was...
Miles and Flora.
Yeah, so Flora was the cat. She's talking about, she's kitten, she's meowing, and she was a stray kitty. I'm trying to make sure with you because I don't remember.
She was a kitty, yes. And I can't remember the story that she had.
She a stray cat or something. She was in a box kitten.
Oh, and she found some yarn and she knitted it into a nice little worm thing.
Yeah.
And Miles is a puppet, and he talks about being a puppet, and he's got this really long monologue, and he's kind of freaky.
Yeah, it's like the puppet. So the puppet maker is so happy, and then he leaves for a while, and the puppets forget like their puppets, their strings, and forgets him. He comes back, and then they don't remember him, and he says that they made the puppets,
and he reminds them by grabbing their strings, and it hurts. It's really creepy and controlling again. I think control is going to be a big, big, big problem in this one. A lot of it has to do with control. How Henry controls the kids, how Henry controls everybody that works there, how Peter was controlling of Rebecca, and Danny's being controlled by something like this ghost that's haunting her. So.
Oh yeah, the end. After they talk and they have that moment.
Her mirror ghost is actually right behind her and not in the mirror anymore.
And then he gets like pulled away to the door. Yeah, he's just like.
So
I
like
something
getting pulled by strings.
Something happened at the school. I bet.
So
something happened.
We're loving Bly Manor. It's killing me only watching one episode a night, but we're going to continue doing that format, and we will discuss episode 4 tomorrow, and we are going to be discussing the movie Zeeth tomorrow. So go vote and like and subscribe us, and we'll see you tomorrow, creepers.
We'll see you tomorrow.